Hello. Well, my regular viewers will have seen me working through a large pile of video recorders, and this is the last of that particular collection. So let's see what we have here. It's a Sony UVW-1200P Betacam SP player. I actually quite like these machines. They have some good features. It's a player only. I have a recorder sort of equivalent, which is the UVW1800, I think. I'll show you a picture of that one. Today we have this player. One of the things I want to show you is at the back, because as we all know, professional equipment tends to be more interesting at the back than at the front. So one of the things I do like about this machine is the selection of outputs. So as well as composite video, not much use really, you have YUV or RGB. There's a switch on the front and you can select which of those modes, and S video out, and that comes in handy too for some capture equipment. And audio out is via balanced connectors. There's a mono unbalanced output. I do wish it had unbalanced audio outputs at the back, but it doesn't. You could always use a headphone socket, I suppose. Once upon a time I had a problem with these balanced outputs on one of these machines. I connected those via balanced to unbalanced cables, that's to say a cable that plugs into there and gives you a phono plug at the end, and I got hum and hiss problems, so it doesn't always work as well as it should. Anyhow, that's the back. Let's look at the front. This machine's a bit grubby and I don't know what state it's in. This is where on the recorders you get VU meters on a vacuum fluorescent display. And that's one thing I do wish this model had. I wish it had VU meters anyway. So that's just a blank. I think if we look under there, there'll be nothing. I will have a look under there maybe later. Here we have a control panel. So there's a switch here for YUV or RGB on those outputs we saw earlier. And there's a menu system here as well. And this model does include a time-based corrector. So it's a useful machine for video capture. So shall we plug it in first, and then we'll take the lid off and have a look inside as well and test it. I've plugged it into my isolation power supply. Let's switch it on and see if we get anything. Welcome to Betacam SP. There are dark and bright patches on this display. That's not in the best condition, but seems to sort of function. Alright, let's pop a tape in. I have a collection of tapes here we're going to try on it. So we have Betacam SP small size tape, exactly the same size as a domestic Betamax tape. We've actually got two of those. We have a large Betacam SP tape, and just for laughs, a digibeta, which of course this machine is incapable of playing. Right. We'll start by putting in one of the Betacam SP small tapes and see if it goes in. Hit play. That's running. That's a good start. Let's switch on the monitor. I won't have any sound on this simply because this monitor can't accept the balanced connectors. We could always use a headphone. Right, so let's just see. Hit play. Hey, this looks like it's working. This is a bit easy, isn't it? I'm not sure what's on this tape. Alright. Eject. Oh, that's not right. It didn't eject. That's interesting. I've never seen that before on these machines. Error 20911. Just power cycle it. Error 20911. Oh dear. We have a repair to do, don't we? We wouldn't want it to be too easy, would we? Would we? No. Let's have some fun fixing things. Captive screws, always a good thing. So looking at it, it appears to be unlaced. the tape is not around the heads, the tape is properly extracted back to the cassette, but then it failed to eject. So it looks like just a front loading error. Alright. It came up with the error message again, but is laced up. So it will play. Let's watch the eject cycle through once more. Let's see if we can get you in a position you can see that clearly. Okay, so that's properly laced. Let's try eject. So it definitely seems to be a front loading issue. Okay, I'll power cycle it. Get it laces up now, there we go. Doesn't know what else to do. Okay. One more attempt at ejecting, and it will jam up again. I just want to see how it does the eject. I've never really looked much at the eject mechanism on these machines. And here is the loading motor for the loading belt, and that's working. Not sure what drives eject. What drives a cassette carriage. Right, I'll power it down. Time to do some research. Okay, you can get to this manual eject in the menu. Let's give that a shot. Yes. Manual eject, please. And it's not. Right, I don't have the service manual to hand for this yet. I'm going to have to do some more work on that. But let's get it to unlace again, and I think I'll take the cassette carriage out. Hopefully that won't be too hard. It usually isn't on Sony machines. So switch it on, let it get to the unlace condition. Wasn't a slow unlace. Now power down and see if I can take the carriage out. Ooh, what access can I get? I suspect not much if I take these side panels off, but let's see what happens. No, I had a feeling that wouldn't get me very far. Oh look, is that the carriage free to come out? Don't you just love the way Sony equipment is built? Sony professional gear was designed to be dismantled. It couldn't be more different from Panasonic, it really couldn't. Take that connector off. So this is coming apart a lot like a U-matic video recorder. I might be colliding with the front. I may have to take the front off. Well, okay. Actually, it doesn't help very much taking the front off. So it must be possible to just take this off with a bit of wiggling and jiggling. There we go. So here we have front loading carriage. So is this motor free to turn? And am I turning the right way? Which is up and down. Right, rotating that way. Seems to eject the tape. Well, mechanically that seems to be working. So why didn't it do so? Oh, that's all working. I think at this point, though, I'd like to show you the mechanism, because we've got a particularly good view of it with the carriage removed. So let's just do that. The most remarkable feature, of course, about Betacam machines is if you lean on them, buttons fall off the front. That does happen, actually. Don't lean on them because the buttons fall off the front. I've had that happen before. The surrounds to these buttons do tend to fall off. I've had that problem before. I'll push it back into place. Hopefully get that bit of trim back in place. Okay, I'll fix that bit of trim. Where was I? These wheels slide up and down here, so we can set it to the both tape sizes, for the small Betamax size tape and the large studio sized Betacam SP tape. So that's just a nice mechanism, but it's used in other machines as well, such as DV Cam and DVC Pro and M2. Right, now then, let's have a look at this carriage. So I've ejected the tape by turning that manually, and isn't it a great design that if you have a breakdown you can just resolve it like that? But why couldn't it do it itself? One thing I'm going to do is just go over this PCB and look for any possible obvious problems with it. There's a rather fascinating PCB at the front here, which I think is used in some way for the tape detection, tape size detection. I've never really looked at that. And there's a flexi cable onto this PCB. There's very little on this board. The capacitor, a couple of resistors. So that means that the electronics that drives a motor in both directions is elsewhere, not on here. And it's possible that that's failed. I'm not seeing any dry joints which would confuse sensors or similar. I'll refit the carriage and test it again, and I'm sure it still won't work, but let's go through that process. Because at the moment there are two possible situations. Either it can only accept and not eject tapes, or it may be that it can't even accept tapes anymore and there's been a failure since we last inserted the tape. So we need to test that. So we need to know if it will accept a tape, because the motor, of course, is required to drive it down as well. So does it take the tape in? Yes. Let's try and immediate eject. Yes. It can work both ways. Look. Haha. It seems that once it's got into that position, then it can't eject. So it may be a mechanical problem. What may be happening is it's jamming. I think that's the case. Does it feel jammed then, if I turn this? Yes, it does. It does feel jammed. It's stiff. Right, so if I get it started by hand, it goes okay. But when it's fully down, it seems to get itself into a jammed condition. I can't replicate that now. Is it overdriving this somehow? Or is there a mechanical problem down here in the carriage? I'm suspecting these channels here may be jamming. Maybe it just needs some grease in there. It's sort of half fitted at the moment, halfway in, so when I switch it on it'll probably go in or out, I don't know which. Out, good. Right, let's go in and out several times, trying to eject at the moment it goes in to work the grease in. Aha, we got stuck again. Yeah, you can feel it's jammed. It wants to rotate that way to eject, and yet it's completely stuck. Is it anything to do with the fact, no, the cassette's skew-whiff because it got, when you take it out, it tends to get a bit stuck on the cassette opening lever. That's not the reason the cassette's it's stuck, no. That just opens the front door in the relevant, at the correct part. And that's not yet, and that's working fine, so it's not that. So what seems to happen is we've got a series of step down gears here. Then that drives this, which has a bar and two drive belts, two tooth drive belts, one at each end, that then transfer the power to a sliding carriage at the back. So when it gets stuck, do those belts get all tensioned up? I would say so. More greasing. I bet it gets stuck again though. I'll try again that trick of cycling it in and out a number of times. I think I will put this on a little bit because it does seem to flex a bit without this. Okay, so we'll do that trick of insert tape eject a number of times. Oh, too late, got stuck. Oh, why is that jamming? It's all stiff as a board there, but if I give that a push, it'll be fine. No. What seems to happen is if I will. It's not as a matter of giving it a push, it's a matter of actually unwinding it, let it go back the other way, and then it works. Because there's something causing it to jam at the bottom, and it seems that just trying to turn this gets you nowhere. You have to back it off, go the other way, and something goes click. I think I've seen something. There's a spring loose up here. Why is that flapping about in the breeze? That's never right. This spring here which is a pretty heavy spring and possibly stronger than my tweezers, I think should be connected to this pin here. Is that a pin? Oh, is that a screw? No, if that's a screw, it's not that. No, that's a screw, it's not that. What should this spring be connected to? Won't be that then. Well, I can't work it out. But you know what I have here? I have another machine. I found this one in my junk hole when I was wondering what to do next. So I'm going to take the lid off this and have a look at where that spring goes. I mean, if this is a complete wreck, I suppose I could swap the carriage over, and that might happen yet. But let me see if I can work out where that spring goes, because this one might be repairable too. So here's the carriage from the scrap machine. Let's have a look at that spring. Interesting. This is the carriage that we've been having trouble with, and it has a spring here which is catching up on something, and this is an alternative machine, a scrapper, and it doesn't have a spring at all. Oh right. So let's see if we can take the spring out then. Right, so there's the spring that doesn't seem to be that important and is causing us a problem. With that spring removed, let's see if this carriage runs. And if it doesn't, we'll fit the other carriage. Right, now can I eject it? Hey, it's looking good. Oh, that's progress. Let's try it with a big tape. Oh, and I wanted to show you a few things as well, actually. So we'll try a large Betacam SP tape. Good. Give that another cycle. Right, let me show you a couple of things. What do you think happens if we try to play a Betacam oxide tape or Betamax tape, which is the same thing essentially, just got a different recording? Well, it won't like it. I hope you can see the display. Let me set you up so you can see the display clearly. I know it's not the brightest display, but what we're going to go and show here is what happens if you put an oxide tape in. Oxide tape. Doesn't like that. Okay. So what happens if you put a digital Betacam tape in? Well, of course it can't play digital Betacam. And the ident holes on the bottom for digital Betacam and Betacam SP are different. So you're looking at these holes here. Of course, you don't get any of those on a domestic Betamax tape. So somehow it detects that it is not a tape it can play, but it gives you a rather stupid error message. Watch. Oxide tape, it says. But it's not an oxide tape, it's a digital Betacam metal tape. But I think what it's trying to say, it's a tape I can't handle, and that's the only error message I've got. So that's just one of those things that I know catches people out, and I've had people say to me, oh, my machine spat out the tape, it says oxide tape. Well, it isn't oxide, it's probably digital Betacam. Or HD cam would have the same effect, probably. I'm not about to stuff an HD cam tape in here. Okay. Well, just a little bit more demonstration, and also I'd like to show you the machine in a little bit more detail. Perhaps I can show you from above so you can see a little bit clearer. So these spools are now presently set for larger size tape. If I put one of the small tapes in, you'll see them move before the tape finishes loading. So watch this. There they go. So you can see them in the smaller Betamax position. And now I'll put the large tape in, and again, before it starts loading, you'll see them shoot back that way. Watch. Did something just go wrong? I don't think it moved the spools out. Try that again. Oh, that's not good, is it? Is it not detecting the tape size properly? That's odd, isn't it? No, it's not right. Not one thing, it's another. It's also making an odd noise. Can you hear that? Where's that coming from? Let's power cycle it. Off, on. There's that noise again. So we have two problems, a slightly odd noise, and it's not detecting the large tape size. Let's just prove that one more time. Now, the carriage is where it detects the tape size. So if it's not detecting it, or it's not moving the spools, then the problem is likely to be in the carriage. Let's just try, let's check this connector. It's not good having to pull the wire to unplug it, but it's not really an easy way to unplug it any other way. Let's just check this a little bit. Anything else that could have been the cause? I don't think that spring was, though I could be wrong. But since the other carriage we had didn't have the spring, that doesn't seem to add up. No, it's not working. So, do you know what I'm going to do, as an experiment at least, is, and I'm sure you guys would have done this already, we're going to fit the cassette carriage from the other machine. Okay, let's power it up now. And see if it detects a large tape size. No! Well, isn't that the weirdest thing? So, it's working with the small tapes. Oops. Just check this cassette carriage out as well. So we don't know if it's not detecting the larger tape size or if there's a problem with the real size operation. We might be able to manually wind it. Let me just try that. I'll power the machine down and see if I can manually wind that to the large tape size. Some years ago, or about a couple of years ago, I had a well, I still have a UVW-1800P, can't remember the number, I'll put it on the screen. digital Betacam deck, and it came up with an error regarding changing the spool size for different tape sizes, and it is under a ton of other equipment, and I couldn't readily pull it out to work on it. And I was able to stick my hands through here and wind the motor to alter the tape size by hand, and it's been working ever since. So it just got itself stuck. So let's find the motor. Here's the motor for this. Is it stuck maybe? I don't think so, but there's a possibility that either it was stuck or we've got some sort of sensor problem. So sometimes just doing that might get it sorted out. Alright. I'll put its own carriage back now, actually, since we went through all the trouble to fix it. Alright, it's set to the large tape size, so I'm hoping now that when I switch it on it'll stay in a large tape size, that I can put a large tape in and that will work. Let's just prove that. Right, and eject. Right, put a small tape in and it should go in. Good. Eject. Now what happens if I try the large tape size again? Nothing good. We are struggling here, aren't we? So I think it believes it has a small tape in there, or it wouldn't. It would have come up with a different error message if it had been unable to move the spools. But it must have been detecting that as a large tape. Otherwise, it would have put the spools into the small position. It's very odd, this, isn't it? And it all worked, and then suddenly stopped working. I don't know what to make of that. It takes a large tape happily. Just hit eject there. It worked that time. Did you see that? I'm using a Betacam tape here because I know it, Betamax tape, because I know it'll immediately spit it out. Now it's working. Now it's working. I think I put some grease on these guides, which I don't know if you can quite see there. These guides here. Would it help if I took the thing off? Not much. Put some grease on the guides which go like that, in case it's jamming at the end stop. Though you'd have thought you'd get an error message, but there we are. Let's grease them up anyway. I'll just test it a little bit more. It's been sat resting for a while. Then I'll investigate that funny noise. However, I may not hear it right now because it's hailing rather hard outside. So, small tape. That's fine. Then large tape. That's all good. So maybe it was mechanically just sticking. Well, we're good now. So let's investigate this issue with a slight noise. It may be normal, I don't know. I'll power it down. It sounds like it may be a motor is maybe some kind of adjustment that's slightly out that's causing a bit of a motor current to flow. And it may be something I can't fix without delving deep into the manuals, but let's see. Okay, we're looking underneath the machine. Let's have a listen again. The noise definitely starts after it's done its reset sequence. It takes several seconds to start. It's coming from underneath the deck. I don't know how easy it is to access the underneath of the deck, though being Sony it's probably not that hard. I don't know. Could it be the Capstan? Maybe it's not a fault at all. Some models Capstan runs continuously. Let me see, find the Capstan. Put my finger on it. There's the Capstan. I'll just put my finger. I'll put my finger on it, and then I'll let it start the machine up. Yes. Well, I felt it nudge, and that's when the noise started. The noise appears to be coming from the Capstan motor. If I hold that hard with my finger, it stops. Let me see if I can set the microphone up so you can hear that. Right, hopefully you can hear that. Let me put my finger there. All I'm doing is holding the Capstan shaft. It's not rotating. So that's a new one on me. I don't know why holding the Capstan stops that noise when it's not rotating. It implies that it may be jiggling, though I can't feel it. Are we going to say that that is not a serious fault and just ignore the problem? I think we are. Right, I wanted to have a quick look inside here to see what is where the VU meters would have been on those recording models. I really wish this one had VU meters. Because, okay, there's nothing you can do about the recording level at playback time, but it's very useful to have VU meters on a player so you can see what's coming off the tape. And some models of players do have VU meters. I think I've probably featured a few over the years. Take the headphone control off. Careful, because I know that these bits of trim have a habit of going all over the place. So there's a PCB where the VU meters would have been, but there would have been a fluorescent display there as well. I'm surprised there's a PCB there at all. There must be some interconnect going on in there. If ever I had a scrap recorder, I wonder what happened if you fitted the VU meter panel from a scrap recorder into this player? Would it work? Would there be connections elsewhere missing? Quite possibly. Let's carefully reassemble it, trying not to get into a tussle with these operation buttons. Right, one more quick test on that. That's all working beautifully. I had a quick look at a date code on one of these ICs. It was around about 1996. Perhaps we'll have a quick look actually at some of the boards in here. We'll take that tape out. A key one, of course, is that it has a TBC. So this board here is labelled TBC. I'm not going to pull it out because it works for one. You can see that one there. So there's a lot of big multi-pin ICs on that one. What else do we have? SS. Oh, I don't know. No, I don't know. Chroma size. So signal processing, I think. And this board at the back here is labelled VP video processing, I'm sure, because it's got SC level, SC, ENCYR encoding. Yes. Burst detectors, chroma delay. So clearly signal processing there. Actually, I don't see where the power supply is. The power supply is this block here. There's I/O connector panels at the back. Of course, we saw a big panel at the bottom. There's what appears to be a slot that doesn't have sockets in at the very back, so that'd be for the recorder version. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's some more in the recorder as well. And there's a board to the left here. What's that marked up? AP. Is that audio? Yes, that could be. Because of course there's quite a lot of audio on even just a player like this. It does include it's got Dolby C, though this one doesn't do FM audio. It's only got the linear audio. Right, well that's fully working. Oops, let's put the one control back on that I forgot earlier. I'm happy that that's good enough to use. So put the side and the top on, let's do that. You can see a bit more from the marking stamped on the chassis actually. So SS is included, TBC is included, VP, which is video playback I think, and then VRA, so that's video recording, and then here we've got AP, which is populated. There's AR and RP, so that'd be a recording board would have gone in that slot, and AR I'm not sure what that's for. Okay, that's the machine that was given to me. I'm happy that I can use that now, but that leaves something, doesn't it? What about the scrap machine that came out of my junk hole? Well, we're here. Let's reassemble it and see what it does. At the very least, if I have to put it back in the junk hole, it will get back with a label on it saying what's wrong with it. I briefly reassembled this. I have to confess I've not put the top plate in here because I've put it down somewhere and can't put my hand on it right now. But okay, let's power the machine up, see if it does anything. Welcome to Betacam SP. The display looks better on this one actually. Alright, let's put the small tape in, see if that loads okay. Hit play. Error 02694. Can we eject from that position? Maybe. 02694. We'll look that one up. Okay, 02694 indicates a reel motor problem. This is another one of those lovely machines with dual reel motors. So one or other reel motor is not working properly or not connected up properly. It's worth having a quick look to make sure the cables are connected up okay, isn't it? So I'll put it onto its side and have a look underneath at the wiring to the reel motors. So these cables need checking, make sure they're plugged in properly. Everything appears to be in order there. We'll just try it again. Hit play. Error 02694. So clearly there's a real motor problem. This is my scrap machine, so I'm not going to go into any more effort with that one right now. But I think I may have a complete spare deck from one of these somewhere, so it is something I could possibly have a play with later. Whichever reel motor has the problem, it's not the take-up one, because they've successfully taken the tape out. So it could be the left-hand spool. Alright, we'll park that machine. One thing I did want to show you was earlier on I was doing a manual eject through the front panel, and here beautifully on the inside of the lid are instructions on how to do that. Only Sony would do that. That's really good. When I was testing it, I found I'd made a mistake earlier. When I took this front off, I didn't check the position of the kind of sliders in the front panel, as a result of which this has all come apart slightly. So I need to fix these little orange sliders. Okay. It'd be a fair question to ask what the hours on this machine, so let's have a look. Hours meter. Drum 33 hours. Tape 27. Thread 251. Really? Operation 3000. So it's been sat in standby for a long time, which would explain that why the display wasn't very good. Well, it seems a little better now. But the head hours, I mean, this is a, it's a fairly shabby looking thing, and yet it's basically new. Extraordinarily low. That's not times 10, that's the actual amount of threads. Let's pop a tape in and confirm that. Well, I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about the UVW-1200 and similar models. So I have one good working machine here, and my spare parts machine will stay spare parts for the time being. But before I go, something else I want to show you. What could that be? Well, all will be revealed in my next video. And if any regulars to my video channel might sort of recognise what this is, because I've worked on one of these before. So do please remember to like, share and especially subscribe, and I'll do lots more content on audio and video technology in the near future. Bye for now.